Passage. Short story contribution for Orthology Light by Anita Kovacevic, inspired by a passage in Zagreb, Croatia's capital. Part 4. One evening, Master Reinhardt and his sons drew my initial design in James's study. James provided dinner, and the four men exchanged ideas, pretending not to hear the awful screams from across the wall. The background noise, however, did urge them on, and they seemed to work harder and faster than usual. Line by line my sketch grew as workmen tore down Bacchus's wall. He protested, of course, and tried to pay off whoever he could, but there was always a bigger fish, and the bishop always outweighed a pawn, even if the pawn was a wealthy merchant. Brick by brick, stone by stone, I grew. Day by day, scream by scream, the Reinhardt men learned the whole story, and they bonded with James more and more. The brothers were about James's age, and the three became friends before my foundation was set. They were delighted with the fact that a renowned man would treat them as equals. When the bishop came to oversee the work every morning, he was always eager to hear Master Reinhardt's reports on progress and fascinated by his craftsmanship. Seeing James and the bishop treat their father with respect, the brothers regretted their past behavior. They now knew how difficult the work was, and observing their father at work strengthened their family. James taught the brothers to read better, and his access to various books from the Abbey Library opened up a whole new world for the two young stonemasons. Spending more time with his sons made old Master Reinhardt content. One of his sons was creative and quite the architect, whereas the other was practical, with a natural feel for stone quality. Their father realized they would run the family trade well. The old man's heart was filled to the brim, and he feared death no more. One morning, when I was half built, Master Reinhardt grabbed his chest, leaned on me, looked up to the sky, and sighed. "My dear lass, here I come." Master Reinhardt died with a smile before the rooftop section of my tunnel-like design was finished. His sons blessed my stone with several tears, and then they carried his body away from me. All building work was stopped for burial. In the evening, James led the blind beggar woman to the cemetery to sing Master Reinhardt an old farewell folk song she knew he had loved. Ophelia cried in her tower without any song to sing. Observing the funeral procession from his dark mansion, Bacchus rubbed his hands together, grinning in the hope they would stop building. He had already gathered a crew of brutes to knock me down, and the sunset funeral provided the necessary distraction. In the shadow of the evening, masked men with scarred arms and heavy hammers came to see me. They raised their tools to strike at me and crush me in the name of their wealthy master. Little did they know the Reinhardt brothers had made sure their father's work would remain intact. They had friends among the workmen, friends who respected and loved the old stonemason. Their scarred hands raised their heavy hammers, but the workmen snuck up on them from behind. Hammer clashed hammer, blood splattered my walls, stone smashed skulls, fury raged. Eventually, heart proved stronger than money. Bacchus's crew of men scattered like rats down at our alleys, and the workmen cleared my passage so nobody would know what had happened. Bacchus knew. He had seen and heard everything. He drank till he could barely walk, and collapsed on the floor of his living room, providing Ophelia with a night of peace. The following morning the builders were back at work, just as Master Reinhardt would have required them to be. As each stone was added on top of me, Bacchus's rage was inflamed even more. Ophelia paid heavily for his frustration each night, which made my creator's work even faster and harder. But I was being built for love and with love, and there was no way Bacchus would stop it. To be continued.